This is live severe weather coverage for East Alabama and West Georgia from Dr. Don's Weather. Stand by as all of our network streaming channels join our broadcast. This live stream is made possible by Southern Pressed Cleaners and Market, Derek Farr for Randolph County Sheriff, the 19th hole at Cider Ridge, Alpha Insurance Agent Jamie Dukas, Southern Union State Community College, Integrated Contractor Services, Stevens Home Furniture, The Oaks, Boondocks Barbecue and Creamery, Donnie Grant Jr. for Sheriff Randolph County, Fincher Fence, The Venue at 5 Points Farms, Jeff Monroe for Alabama House District 37, N&W Locks. And now, from the Alpha Severe Weather Center, here's Dr. Dodd.
Well, good evening, East Alabama and West Georgia. It is 8:25 p.m. Central, 9:25 p.m. Eastern, as we are looking at another significant severe weather event across the southeastern United States. And I'm going to walk you through it, tell you what to expect. I can tell you at the moment there's absolutely nothing threatening East Alabama or West Georgia. The only threatening weather we have right now is down in southwest Mississippi and extreme eastern Louisiana. We'll show it to you here in just a few moments. But there's the brand new tornado watch that's just been issued by the Storm Prediction Center out in Norman, Oklahoma. And you can see the watch is basically from Dallas County in Alabama. That would be Selma down in southwest Alabama, all the way back down to Mobile. And then it stretches across southern Mississippi and then back into Louisiana from about Baton Rouge east over to the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And that's where we think the greatest threat for tornadoes will be for the remainder of the evening. We're not really looking at a major tornado threat across East Alabama and West Georgia. The main threat across East Alabama and West Georgia is going to be damaging straight-line winds. Now, understand, folks, damaging straight-line winds in excess of 58 miles per hour, which is the threshold for severe thunderstorm warnings, can cause just as much damage as a weak EF1 tornado. So you have to take severe thunderstorm warnings serious. A lot of times, folks think, well, it's just a thunderstorm. I'm not gonna do anything special, and you would be wrong if you take that mindset. You got to take it serious. Just because a tornado is not involved in it doesn't mean you should not pay attention to it. So we'll talk about what we think is going to happen across East Alabama and West Georgia in just a few moments. But right now, I want to show you where the absolute strongest weather is expected, and it's going to be within this tornado watch. Now, do they move the tornado watch further east as we get closer to this event? That is possible. The latest mesoscale discussion from the Weather Service from Norman, Oklahoma, the Storm Prediction Center, seems to indicate that they believe the best chance for tornadoes will be along and south of the I-80 corridor in Alabama. So that's on the western and southwestern side of Alabama. That's where the watch is at this time. Now, as we go through the overnight hours, they may extend this watch further east over maybe to about Montgomery, and then, maybe back down toward Columbus. Could it creep up into the southern part of our coverage area across East Alabama and West Georgia? That's possible. I don't think all of East Alabama and West Georgia will go under a tornado watch, but again, this is an evolving situation that's just now really getting underway in Mississippi and New Orleans down in Louisiana. So we're going to kind of have to watch and see how this thing's going to play out as we go throughout the evening. So that is one graphic I wanted to show you. And then here is the latest from the National Weather Service out of Birmingham. This is showing us a level 2 risk of severe weather. That's a 2 out of 5, with 5 being the highest risk level there is. And then this is where you really start paying attention to what's going on when we get into that level 2. Because, again, this is telling us that in this particular setup, the best opportunity for a tornado is going to probably be down in South Alabama. but damaging straight-line winds and severe thunderstorms will be possible across all of East Alabama and West Georgia. And you see the timing there on the screen. This is the latest graphic that they have released, and we're looking at 11 p.m. Central through about 4 a.m. is the window of opportunity. That doesn't mean that magically at 11 p.m. it's going to start storming in East Alabama. It means that sometime between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m., we're going to see this line of storms move through East Alabama and then into West Georgia. West Georgia's timing, you just tack an hour onto this, midnight through about 5 a.m. So that is the timing. I think we're probably in the 1 to 2 a.m. time frame for the arrival of storms in East Alabama, and then, maybe in the 3 to 4 a.m. category for West Georgia. Looking at what's happening out there now, we're still several hours away from the onset across Alabama, East Alabama, and West Georgia. So let's go ahead and take a look at the radar, and I'll show you what's happening out there right now. And you can see multiple tornado warnings just popping up here in the last few minutes down around Macomb, Mississippi, and right along the Mississippi-Louisiana state line to just north of New Orleans. And then there is also multiple severe thunderstorm warnings down in that region as well. Now, the entire line is pushing east while the individual storms are moving to the northeast. We have storms moving into the Birmingham area right now, but those storms are not severe. We don't even have special weather statements on most of that stuff. So let me zoom in tight on our area, the area that we cover the most, and you can see that there's nothing happening at this hour across Randolph, Clay, Tallapoosa, Talladega, Coosa, Chambers, Lee, and then back across our West Georgia counties. Obviously, there's nothing happening there as well. Again, the closest storm is coming into West Birmingham, and we did just pick up a special weather statement on that storm to the west of Birmingham. We'll go up there and take a closer look at that in just a few minutes. But let's go back down the line, and you can see where the heavy weather is from about Meridian, Mississippi, right along I-59, just to the east or right of Bay Springs, Mississippi. And then we have this line that has become very intense now just to the west of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And we have multiple tornado warnings down there now. So I'm going to bring the radar current, I'm going to stop it right there, and we'll go in and take a little closer look at this. And you can see that we have this entire line, really, from New Heron all the way down to Tylertown in Mississippi, Monticello, Mississippi, Columbia, Mississippi, all under tornado warnings at this hour. And that's being covered by about 2 different tornado warnings, and we have a severe thunderstorm warning that stretches that entire area as well. And then if you go down a little bit further, we're getting down here around Kentwood and I-10 from Baton Rouge back up to Kentwood. We have another line there that's got 2 different tornado warnings showing up in that one as well. So that's where all the serious weather is happening now, from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, all the way back up to New Heron, Mississippi, or back up to around Jackson, Mississippi, is where the majority of the severe weather is taking place at this hour. Now, we believe as this line of storms and also that line that's up there around Meridian continues to move east into Alabama, we were in sunshine all day long today, and we got up into the 80s down here in South Alabama. So we believe this line is going to intensify even more during the overnights as it moves into South Alabama. Now, I know we're losing the heating of the day, but the surface really Got some good sunshine today, so we have a lot of surface-based instability from the heat of the day. And the cold air that's with this front is still way back in, I hadn't looked lately, but I would say probably still back in Texas. So the cold air is not overrunning this, so there's nothing to cause us to lose enough instability to calm this stuff down. So I do anticipate this area to continue to increase in intensity as it moves off to the east. I'm going to just draw a line where the heaviest part of this line of thunderstorms is located at this hour. And I'm going to put some arrows on here so Remy can understand what we're talking about. All right, so the line itself is moving east, while the individual cells within this line are moving to the northeast. So as we go through time for the rest of this evening and tonight, I expect this line of thunderstorms to intensify and then sweep across, maybe south central Alabama and South Alabama. I think the greatest risk for tornadoes is going to be probably south of the I-85 corridor and maybe even a little bit further south than that. But if I'm down there in Lee County, maybe southern Tallapoosa, Elmore, maybe southern Chambers, and over into Harris County in Georgia, and certainly down in the Columbus, Phoenix City area, I'm really paying attention to what's happening back over here to the west, because all of that stuff will eventually make it over into East Alabama. Now, we're several hours away. Let's see, what do we got here? It's 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30. I'm thinking at least midnight before we start to see any of this stuff make it into the eastern side of the state of Alabama, whether you're east central or southeast. We're still 2.5, maybe 3 hours away from it getting over here. Now, you folks up here in East Alabama and West Georgia, you're right there on the northern edge of where we think the heaviest weather is going to be. I think that there could be a handful, maybe 2 or 3 severe thunderstorms that may move through East Alabama and West Georgia after midnight. I think the further north you go from the I-80 corridor, which runs west to east just south of the I-85 corridor, I think the further north you go from there, the chances of seeing a tornado will decrease. The further north you go, the less likely we are to see a tornado, though I can't tell you that there is a zero threat of tornadoes anywhere across East Alabama or West Georgia. Anytime you have strong to severe thunderstorms, there's never a zero chance of a tornado. It's always possible. But the further south you go from the I-85 corridor, the better I think the chances will be that you could see a quick spin-up tornado. Now, we're not looking at big tornadoes. I know that a lot of folks saw the damage up in Illinois, just south of Gary, Indiana, that happened yesterday. That was a massive tornado up there. We're not looking at that kind of tornado activity this evening. We would be looking at those quick spin-up, tornadoes, maybe EF0s and maybe EF1s, that sort of thing. So that's kind of a look at what we are expecting this evening. But again, understand this is just getting underway, and what I'm going with is what the Weather Service is telling us. And at the moment, they don't think that there is a high risk of tornadic activity across most of our coverage area. Again, I think you folks along and south of I-85 maybe should pay a little more attention to it. But again, I don't want you to let your guard down just because we're talking about there may not be tornadoes. The severe thunderstorms are much more likely, and in some situations they can be they can cause just as much damage as a weak tornado. So you got to pay this a lot of attention. And here we are again doing an overnight severe weather broadcast for you. And so, if you hadn't done it already, folks, you got to go get a NOAA weather radio. You got to have one. Every home has got to have one. I think every home, business, and school should have a NOAA weather radio. That is the baseline. That's how everybody should receive their severe weather information during overnight events. If you're like me, that ding on your phone is not going to wake you up. It certainly isn't going to wake me up. If you got to get me at 2 o'clock in the morning, you better call me, because that text ding isn't going to do it. And so you got to have a NOAA weather radio. Check with your local government. Most every county emergency management or county government now has mass notification. There's a handful of different companies out there that provide that, and it's really easy to sign up for that. But you've got to take the initiative to do it, and you should sign up for your local mass notification system, so that will give you weather information as well. You'll get those warnings. You got to make sure your WIA alerts are turned on your phone. Now, if you haven't purposely gone in there and turned them off, then they're on. And you'll get severe thunderstorm warnings with a possible tornado. You will get tornado warnings, and you will get flood warnings. Every phone comes that way unless you purposely go in there and turn them off. The problem is you get the Amber Alerts the same way. And those things become annoying sometimes because they send out Amber Alerts for very large areas. And what that's done, it's caused people to figure out how to go in there and turn that off. And when you turn that off, you're turning off your weather notifications and your national emergency notifications at the same time. Good gracious, with all the stuff that's going on in this world, the last thing you need to do is turn off your national alert notifications on your phone. So if you've done that, please go back in there and turn it back on. And then, of course, you got to know where your safe place is in your home, your place of business, your place where you work, at school. Of course, at home, it's always in a basement if you have one. If you don't, then you need to be in the on the lowest floor of your home, in the center of the lowest floor in your home, preferably in a closet, bathroom, hallway, somewhere in the center away from exterior windows. And, of course, you need to have blankets, pillows. You need to have helmets. You need to have some way of making a large noise, a loud noise. And you need to have water, hard-soled shoes for everybody in the family. These are just all good ideas to be ready to go to a place of shelter in the event that you have significant threatening weather in your area. So that's kind of where we are right now. I'm going to zoom back out so you can see the big picture. And I'll tell you what I want to do. I want to switch radars right quick, too. I want to go back over here and hit level 2 out of Birmingham on the reflectivity, and that gives us a little more resolution so we can kind of see what's going on in these storms. Now, you're not going to be able to see this stuff down in southern Mississippi or Louisiana because we're looking at this from the Shelby County Airport in Birmingham, so it's only good for about 200 miles. But there you go. That's what we're looking at. I'm going to put it back in motion. And I'm going to run over here to the chat room and see if anybody has any questions or comments. Hello there, Thunder Buddy. Good to see you in here. Yeah, Coweta is much closer to, you're between I-85 and I-20. And when I say south of I-85, I'm primarily talking about the part of I-85 in Alabama. If you're over there, Peachtree City, Noonan, you're going to be well north of where I think tornadoes might be a possibility. Let me tell you what I'll do. We'll make this easy. Let me get my color crayons back out. All right, so, before I do that, let me go in a little bit closer. I think Eddie will populate, actually. Yep. All right. All right, so here's the deal. I think probably south of this area will be, no, I don't like that. Clear that out. Let's try that again. Let's go with something like that. I think south of that line is where the better chances for tornadoes will be later on this evening. You know, you see that, Selma's close, Montgomery's close, Tuskegee is close, Beauregard, you're close. Of course, Salem and Columbus, Phoenix City. I mean, even Auburn is close. Weather doesn't look at what humans draw on a map and say, "Oh, I can't cross that line." That's not the way this works. But I think that's pretty much what we're looking at. And then if we carry that on into Georgia, I'll zoom out and I'll just draw a big line. How about that? That way everybody that might be watching can kind of see what we're looking at here. And I think south of that line is where the better chances for tornadoes will be later on this evening. I think if you're north of this line, it's not a zero chance, but is certainly much lower than what we will see south of this line. So, if you're up here in between I-85 and I-20, which Coweta is, you're a pretty good ways away from where we think the tornadoes might possibly be. Did I hit a button? I hit a button. We're going to move that switcher. Let me get back over to the radar. Sorry about that, guys. So, again, this is south of this white line is where I believe the better chances for the tornadoes will be. So, south of a line from Selma to Montgomery to Columbus and over in south of Macon in Georgia, all the way over to just north of Savannah. That's where the better energy is going to be for this line of storms that's moving to the east. If you're north of this line, again, I'm not telling you that it can't happen, but the further north you go from this line, the less the chance is going to be for tornadoes. But again, strong to severe thunderstorms will certainly be possible north of this white line. And sometimes severe thunderstorms can cause just as much damage as a weak tornado. So don't discount this just because we're not talking widespread tornadic thunderstorms across East Alabama and West Georgia. So I hope that explains this setup for you so that you can understand what the dealio is here. Valley, you're north of that white line. You're going to have some strong thunderstorms, but I think the tornadic activity will stay south of you. Well, Stephanie, what you had the other night, what was it, night before? I've lost track of time here. So was it Sunday night? I can't remember. The last storm system we had. Yes, it was Monday night. That's kind of the same type setup we have tonight. Better instability will be south of East Alabama and West Georgia, but that's not to say we can't have some really strong storms, because we probably will. Oh, see, that's what's going to happen now. Everybody's going to start asking me what about, so I'll play the song. I knew that was coming. So I'm not going to stay live wall to wall right now. I'm just doing an update for you. I will come back later on when the storms get a little bit closer, and we will do wall to wall. So before I end this update, which will be in the next 5 to 10 minutes, I promise you I will play the What About song. So just hang in there. It's coming. Stephanie, I'm going to use you an example. You said it. You don't have to be a map expert to be able to pick out where you live on a map. And everybody, I'm talking about everybody within the sound of my voice, regardless of where you are in this world. Listen, Google, YouTube, and Chat GPT are your best friends. You need to spend a little bit of time looking at your map and figuring out exactly where you are on your map. And understand that weather typically moves from west to east. You should be able to look at this radar without me saying anything and figure out where the storms are. And you should be able to look and determine how significant they are and whether or not they're moving toward your location. It just takes a few minutes to be able to learn how to read a map and figure out where you are so that you can do that. I mean, that's part of being situationally aware. So I hope everybody does that. Of course, I try to give you guys as much information as I can. We try to do a little weather 101 along the way and help you with that process so that you can learn how to just glance at it yourself and be able to tell where the weather's at. Arrival time up in Carrollton after midnight, probably closer to 1 or 2 a.m., I think. I mean, you got some showers up there in northern Carroll County now, but the heavier storms are still back to the west of Birmingham, and they're moving northeast, so that stuff you see in Birmingham is not going to move through Carrollton because they're moving northeast. The entire line or the overall system is sliding slowly to the east, while the individual storms along that line are moving to the northeast. So the convection that you see coming into Birmingham, which is extremely heavy rainfall, that's the bright reds that you see. And there's some wind involved in it, too. Probably neighborhood of 35, 40 mile per hour wind. That's not coming toward Carrollton, even though it's, looking at it on the map, it's just to the left of Carrollton. But they're moving to the north and northeast. So, Carrollton's weather is going to come somewhere further down the line. The storms that will come through Carrollton have not even developed yet, if that makes sense to you. Buddy, yes, we've got multiple tornado warnings in Mississippi. And I apologize, Stephanie. When I said 85, I knew what I was saying, but I didn't say it. I was talking about the part of 85 in Alabama, because 85 turns back to the northeast once it gets past Tuskegee, and the better chances are going to be across South Alabama and South Georgia. So I should have done exactly what the Weather Service did. They're using Highway 80, but most people don't know where that's at. Everybody knows where 85's at. So that was Dr. Don not communicating well. It was all on me. So let me zoom out since Buddy asked that question, And again, I'll show you what's going on down the south end of this line. You're not going to see the convection because I don't have, I'm looking at Birmingham radar and it can't see the storms that far away. But you can see the warnings, and there are a lot of them. We've got Hattiesburg, Mississippi is now under a tornado warning. And then just to the west of Bogalusa, Mississippi is also under a tornado warning. That would be just north of Lake Pontchartrain and northeast of Baton Rouge, right there just to the east of I-55 south of Macomb, Mississippi. So there are a couple of different cells down there that are producing multiple tornadoes down there. All of that's headed towards southwest Alabama. So if you know anybody that lives in Mobile, back up toward Jackson, Alabama, all the way up to Demopolis, over to Selma, if you know anyone that lives down here in southwest Alabama, send them a text, call them on the phone, do your part. Just make sure they are aware of their weather situation. They are certainly at more of a risk of seeing a tornado down there than we are up here across East Alabama and West Georgia. So if you have friends or family down in southwest Alabama or southern Mississippi, get in contact with them one way or another. Make sure they're aware. Make sure they're weather aware and tuned in to their local weather sources down there. So we'll bring the radar back up to the north so you can see. Now, this line of storms that's stretching from Meridian to Birmingham looks like it is at least picking up in coverage. I don't know that the intensity is strengthening, but we're certainly seeing more convection along that line. It's becoming a little bit wider. Okay, so that's what we've got going on here. And again, I'm not going to stay wall to wall right now. I mean, I got to catch me a little bit of sleep when I can. So I worked all day today. I'm going to be with you guys most of the night tonight, and we got to do the grocery job tomorrow, so we can buy groceries. So I have to catch me an hour here and there whenever I can. So what we're going to do here, I promised I would play the What About song before we end this update, and I'm about to do that, and then we're going to shut things down until the storms get a little closer to East Alabama and West Georgia, and then we'll come back and we'll ride this thing for however long we need to. All right, so let me set a couple of things up here. I got to go there. All right, here comes the Dr. Don What About song.
Radar spinning on a summer night, chat room lighting up left and right, storms rolling in across the state. Everybody asking if it's coming their way. Roanoke checking in with the first hello. We asking where the storm might go. Woodland watching lightning in the sky. Whitey Lee typing, are we next in line? Ashland asking if the wind will blow. Lineville wondering if the rain will show. Carrollton watching clouds build tall. Roosterville saying what about us, y'all? Chat room buzzing. questions flying now. What about Roanoke? What about Weedawee? What about Woodland? Watching that storm on YouTube. What about Wiley? What about Ashland tonight? What about Lineville under flashing lightning skies? If we ain't calling out your town on the air tonight, you can breathe easy. Everything's alright if you don't hear your name in the warning call. You're sitting pretty, no worries at all. Franklin checking radar on the screen of Granger Noon and asking what it means. Lafayette wondering if the winds will blow. Auburn saying all we in the show. Salem watching thunder roll around. Pine Mountain asking if the rain's coming down. Everybody typing at the same time, trying to see if they're in the line. Rock Mills watching clouds move in. Big Springs asking if the winds will spin. Dickard saying, Don, what do you see? Ah, man, asking, is it headed to me? Frog Eye checking lightning in the west. Valley wondering if they're next. Beans Mill watching that radar spin. Everybody asking once a day. What about Roanoke? What about Weedawee? What about Woodley? Watching that storm on TV. Ashland, Lineville under flashing skies. Kettleton watching clouds roll by. Rock Mills, Big Springs asking where it'll go. Dickard up under watching storms roll slow. Frog Eye Valley checking in tonight. Beans Mill watching line and light. If we ain't calling out your town in the warning call, you're sitting pretty, no worries at all. Chat room rolling while the radar blows. Everybody asking where the storm will go. But if your town ain't in the path tonight, you can rest easy, everything's alright. And Dr. Dawn says goodnight.
The Dr. Don, what about song on Dr. Don's weather? And I'm not saying good night because the threat is over. It has not even begun just yet. It's just that it's going to be a little later on before we see anything across East Alabama and West Georgia. And I pointed this out a few moments ago, but I want to hit it again because Miss Johnny's asking a question. It seems like everything's moving north, not toward Roanoke. That's exactly what I was saying a few moments ago. The individual storms are moving northeast, while the entire system is slowly moving east. So those storms that you see over there in Birmingham are not going to move across East Alabama and West Georgia. Those storms have not even developed yet. They will develop along that line in 2 or 3 or 4 hours from now, and then that's what will move across East Alabama and West Georgia. So don't let the radar deceive you. It looks like everything is moving north and you're going to be okay across East Alabama and West Georgia. I wish that were the case, but that's not the way this works. The system itself is very slowly moving to the east while the individual storms are running to the northeast. And what that's going to do actually is create training in any one particular location. You're going to continue to get storm after storm after storm, which is going to just bring a lot of rain. So we could have some flooding issues this evening as well. So we're going to step aside right now because there's absolutely nothing threatening East Alabama or West Georgia at this hour, and I think it'll be well after midnight, or at least after midnight, before we start to see these storms in our area. So I'm gonna sign off for now and try to rest a little bit, and then when we come back the next time, we'll stay with this thing until we get the storms through East Alabama and West Georgia. So here's what you can do. That shot that you see on the screen right now, that is actually coming from our Dr. Don's Weather 24 Forever YouTube channel. Now, most of you may not know this, but that thing is up there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And all you have to do is go over to the YouTube and search for Dr. Don's Weather 24 Forever. and you can find it. And then you can go watch this. I've got the frame all jacked up right now, but I'll get that fixed in just a minute. Go over there, and you can watch the radar, and you can watch for any alerts that might be issued scrolling at the bottom of the screen. This is available for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week over on YouTube. Just search for Dr. Don's Weather 24 forever. And I'll be back with you in a couple of hours probably with live wall-to-wall coverage as this line of thunderstorms moves through East Alabama and West Georgia on Dr. Don's Weather. Thanks for joining us.